My husband wants to sell our marital home to pay for his first love's medical treatment. After I refused, his first love left a suicide note and disappeared, resenting me for not saving her. My husband lured me to a mountaintop and killed me. He said a cold-hearted, selfish person like me didn't deserve to live. After I died, he sold the house, took my entire inheritance, and set off on a journey to find love. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn on the very day he begged me to sell our home. Honey, let's sell our marital home to save Chan-Chan. Zhou Hao knelt at my feet, his eyes filled with anguish as he pleaded with me. Hearing those words, I was dazed for a moment before realizing I had been reborn. My memories flashed back to my past life, to the woman he swore he would sell his house to save. She was his childhood sweetheart, his first love, Lin Chan-Chan. In their youth, they were deeply devoted to each other, sharing a profound bond. Unfortunately, Lin Chan-Chan came from a troubled family. Her father was a gambler and her mother was unfaithful. When Zhou Hao's parents found out about their relationship, they threatened to disown him, forcing the couple to break up. Lin's father racked up massive gambling debts and fled with his entire family. Zhou Hao never saw Lin Chan-Chan again after that. She became the unforgettable first love in Zhou Hao's heart. They wouldn't meet again until a full decade later. This happened not long after Zhou Hao and I got married. We had been dating for 2 years and had been married for less than 3 months. Our relationship was at its peak, and Zhou Hao was incredibly thoughtful and attentive. When I lost my appetite, Zhou Hao mistakenly thought I was pregnant and took me to the hospital for a checkup. When I came out of the examination room, Zhou Hao was nowhere to be found. I called him countless times, but he never picked up. After I went home alone, Zhou Hao returned that night looking utterly devastated. He told me he had run into Lin Chan-Chan, who was gravely ill, in the hospital lobby. He couldn't bear the thought of her, weak and sick, having to squeeze onto a bus, so he drove her back to her place. Ever since then, Zhou Hao has been completely distracted, suffering from sleepless nights. Zhou Hao said that Lin Chan-Chan has liver cancer and won't live much longer without a transplant. But Lin Chan-Chan simply doesn't have the money for the surgery and can only wait for death in despair. He lamented the unpredictability of life, saying that not staying true to his original feelings back then was a debt he owed to Lin Chan-Chan. With tears in his eyes, Zhou Hao urged me to sell our marital home and use our entire life savings to save his first love. I sympathize with Lin Chan-Chan's situation, but I was the one who put down 80% of the down payment for the marital home I share with Zhou Hao. I sold the old house my parents left me to afford this new home. From the overall decor down to the dining chairs and teacups, every single detail in that house was carefully chosen by me. It was in that very home that Zhou Hao told me, with deep emotion, I'm no longer alone. I have a home to shelter me from the storm. I have him to walk hand in hand with me through the rest of our lives. These memories are still so vivid in my mind, I just can't bear to sell it. What's more, Zhou Hao is even willing to sell the house at a rock-bottom price just to get the money quickly. Even after deducting the interest we've paid over the last 2 years, we'd still be taking a total loss of 300,000 if we sold at the price he wants. I flatly refused Zhou Hao. No way, I'm not selling the house, and I'm certainly not selling it at a rock-bottom price. I suggested he have Lin Chan-Chan seek help from the public. There are many crowdfunding platforms these days for people with serious illnesses. Zhou Hao claimed that Lin's father was deep in gambling debt. Neither Lin Chan-Chan nor her father could show their faces. Otherwise, even if we raised the surgery money, the debt collectors would snatch it away. He kept pestering me, trying to convince me to sell the marital home. If I save Lin Chan-Chan this time, he'll be indebted to me for life. I stood my ground, refusing to budge no matter how he appealed to my emotions or reasoned with me. Zhou Hao flew into a rage, pointing at me and shouting, Song Shuyu, I never thought you could be so heartless. So what if we lose 300,000? A house is nothing compared to a life. If we don't sell the house, we're getting a divorce. I put 200,000 into this house too. You pay me back today, and tomorrow we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I'd sell my kidney and my blood if I had to, but I'm saving Chan-Chan. At the time, I didn't want this to cause a rift between us. In the end, I gave Zhou Hao the 100,000 yuan I had saved up for starting a family. Only then did his anger finally subside. He took the bank card and rushed straight to the hospital. Watching his hurried figure disappear, a pang of sorrow tightened my heart. I swallowed my words. Little did I know, the 100,000 yuan I gave Chan-Chan Lin for her treatment, free of charge, would lead to my own murder, all because I refused to sell my house. When Chan-Chan Lin found out I wouldn't sell the house to save her, she left a suicide note and vanished. She wrote in the letter, Zhou Hao, I don't blame your wife for not selling the house to save me, and you shouldn't blame her either. Not everyone in this world is as kind-hearted as you are. I've struggled to cling to life in this world for 28 years, and there's nothing left for me to miss. My only regret is that I never got to fulfill my childhood dream of marrying you, but seeing you one last time before I die, I can go in peace. I sincerely wish you and her a loving marriage and a child soon. I only pray that heaven takes pity on me, so that after death, I may be reborn in your wife's womb and become your daughter. Well, even if I can't be your wife, I'll still be your little sweetheart. That letter extinguished the last shred of sympathy I had for Lin Qianqian. I tore the letter to shreds right in front of Zhou Hao, who wants her for a daughter. She blames me. What right does she have to blame me? I gave her 100,000 for her treatment, no strings attached, and this is how she repays me. I was venting my frustration hysterically. Zhou Hao just picked up the shredded paper and threw it in the trash, his face completely blank. In the days that followed, he went about his usual routine of going to and from work, chatting with me about everyday things. He would still get me gifts for holidays and make a show of our affection on social media. His mood didn't seem to be affected by Lin Qianqian's departure. It was as if Lin Qianqian's appearance was just a minor, insignificant episode in our lives. In countless deep nights unknown to me, clutching the pieced together letter, he wept bitterly, and a murderous intent toward me slowly took root. Under the pretext of watching the sunrise, he lured me to a desolate mountain in the suburbs. We stood atop the peak, watching the morning sun break through the clouds. The sunrise is so beautiful, honey. Once we have a child, the three of us will come back to watch the sunrise together. Just as I was lost in my happiness, Zhou Hao spoke softly from behind me. Beautiful sunrise, isn't it? Pity you'll never see another. I turned around in a daze, meeting Zhou Hao's sinister glare. I saw the murderous intent in his eyes, but there was no chance of escape left. He advanced step by step, with a bottomless chasm at my back. I had nowhere to retreat. Why? I sobbed, my face streaked with tears, feeling scared and utterly lost. Zhou Hao remained silent, his gaze growing increasingly somber. Farewell, Zhou Hao whispered softly. He reached out and shoved me hard on the shoulder. The cruel irony is that the hand pushing me to my death still wore our wedding ring. The instant Zhou Hao pushed me from the cliff's edge, my hands found purchase on the jagged rock, saving me from the fall. Husband, save me, save our child. The instinct to survive made me cry out to Zhou Hao without thinking, yet he stood at the cliff's edge, his face twisted with hatred, and stomped on my fingers. So you're fighting to live too, huh? To stay alive, you'd tell any lie. Is your life the only one that matters? What about Qianqian's? She's out there somewhere right now, suffering in agony. A selfish, vicious woman like you doesn't deserve to live. He mercilessly crushed my fingers under his boot and watched with cold eyes as I plummeted over the cliff. My death was gruesome. I wasn't even left with a whole body, yet, with his masterful acting, Zhou Hao deceived everyone into believing I had fallen from the mountain by accident. My parents passed away early, so there was no dispute over my inheritance. Zhou Hao took it all. He sold our marital home and car. He took the money I had toiled half my life to earn and scoured the world to find his dying first love. Perhaps my hatred was too profound, for my consciousness did not fade away. Instead, I was reborn to the very night Zhou Hao begged me to sell our house. He was just as he had been in my past life, with tears in her eyes. She begged me to sell the house to save Lin Qianqian. Snapping out of my memories, I met Zhou Hao's earnest gaze. I knew that if I refused at this moment, it would drive him to murderous thoughts just the same. My priority now is to make a clean getaway, then I'll settle this score. I reined in my emotions and replied in a flat tone. I agree to sell the house. Really? You're really agreeing to sell the house to save Qianqian? Zhou Hao couldn't hide the delight in his eyes, seeing me silently watching him without a word. Zhou Hao suddenly realized he was being a bit too obvious. His smile faded as he spoke softly. Shuyu, I know you're attached to the house, but a human life is at stake. Saving Qianqian's life will bring us good karma. Ha, a human life is at stake. When Zhou Hao pushed me off the mountain and tried to kill me, he didn't hesitate for a second. Suppressing the hatred in my heart, I asked him in as calm a tone as I could muster. Selling a house takes time. Are you sure the money will come through in time for her surgery? Zhou Hao happily pulled out his phone to show me. Don't worry about that, honey. I've already contacted an agent and found a buyer. They're paying in full. We can close the deal and transfer the title tomorrow. Just say the word. No wonder. At this point in my past life, there were always signs that someone had been in the house. A pair of slippers left askew and a used water glass. Zhou Hao insisted I was just overtired and paranoid from nervous exhaustion. So he had already rigged the whole deal behind the scenes before even suggesting we sell the house. Noticing my shock, Zhou Hao quickly tried to explain. Qianqian's surgery is urgent and needs money. Selling the house to get cash is too slow, so we have to plan ahead. He spoke with a guilty conscience, stealing glances at my reaction from time to time. It seems that ever since he reunited with Lin Qianqian in our past life, he had already made up his mind to sell the house to save her, regardless of whether I agreed or not. No wonder he hated me so much after Lin Qianqian went missing that he wanted me dead. I suppressed the surge of emotions and took Zhou Hao's phone. I quickly glanced at the chat history between Zhou Hao and the buyer. The buyer is a single mother who runs her own business. The reason she's in such a hurry to buy our school district house is for her daughter's education. Back when I made the decision to buy this house, I was also drawn to the school district. Planning for the future child Zhou Hao and I would have, remembering this now fills me with more bitterness than sorrow, and a deep sense of resentment. Paying in full saves you the hassle of a loan, but it's no small sum. Does she even have that kind of money? I opened the buyer's profile and, feigning curiosity, scrolled through her social media feed, quietly memorizing her WeChat ID. Don't worry, she runs a nail salon. Those places are cash cows. If she says she can pay in full, she definitely can. Honey, I'll call her now. How about we schedule with the real estate agent to finalize the transfer tomorrow? Zhou Hao was itching to call the buyer, but I grabbed his hand to stop him. I haven't been feeling well these past couple of days. Let's do it next Monday. Frowning with clear displeasure, Zhou Hao said, you just need to sign, that's all. Qianqian is waiting for the money to save her life. Sensing my displeasure, Zhou Hao, afraid I might back out, quickly softened his tone. Honey, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Do you need to go to the hospital? Zhou Hao reached out to feel my forehead with feigned concern, but I dodged his hand. He froze, staring at me in confusion, afraid he might notice something was off. I replied gently, darling, it's nothing serious, don't worry, I'm just a bit run down and nervous. I'll sleep in the guest room for a couple of days so I don't disturb your work or rest. I couldn't help but feel a visceral disgust towards him. I didn't even want to pretend to have any physical contact with him anymore. Fortunately, Zhou Hao was completely preoccupied with Lin Qianqian at the time. He didn't seem to mind sleeping in separate rooms and agreed without a second thought. I used those few days to privately contact a buyer and also rented a new place for myself. On the day we were signing the contract to sell the house, Zhou Hao was rummaging frantically through the house but couldn't find his bank card. Seeing that the agreed-upon time was approaching, I urged Zhou Hao to hurry. The property deed has both our names on it. Having the payment deposited into my account is just the same. Don't keep Sister Zhang waiting. Zhou Hao seemed on the verge of saying something but held back, beads of sweat forming on his forehead from the anxiety. He waved his hand dismissively. I'll give her a call to see if we can postpone the signing and transfer until tomorrow. I need to go open a bank account today. Before I met Lin Qianqian, I was completely open with Zhou Hao and never nickel-and-dimed him over money. I didn't ask for a bride price when we got married, and I even bought him a car worth over 100,000 yuan afterwards, so when the bank card went missing, it never even crossed his mind to suspect me. The only thing I'm worried about is the money hitting my account. I might change my mind and not save Lin Qianqian. As soon as Sister Zhang answered the phone and Zhou Hao suggested changing the time, she lost her temper. If you didn't want to sell the house, you should have said so earlier. My child starts school in September. I don't have time to waste with you. I'm already at the real estate agency. If you're not here on time, the deal's off. If you won't sell to a cash buyer, plenty of other sellers are desperate to close a deal. Zhou Hao quickly replied, don't worry, Ms. Zhang, we're on our way and will be there any minute. Lin Qianqian needed the money for her surgery, so Zhou Hao naturally didn't want to wait around either. Besides, buyers like Ms. Zhang, who were decisive and paid in full, were hard to come by. After hanging up, Zhou Hao turned to me, testing the waters. Honey, you won't change your mind once you get the money, will you? I shot him a glare, my tone sharp with displeasure. If I didn't want to save her, I could have just refused to sell the house. Why would I take a 300,000 yuan loss and sell it for a song? Zhou Hao gave an awkward, sheepish laugh. Don't be angry, dear. I was being petty and suspicious, afraid that Sister Zhang might back out if they were late. Zhou Hao drove like a bat out of hell and made it to the real estate agency just before the appointed time. The house was successfully transferred, and I received the full payment from the sale. After paying off the bank loan, I had just under 900,000 left in my account. After I handed the bank card to Zhou Hao, he couldn't hide his delight. He made a quick phone call, then came running back to me, his face lit up with excitement. Qianqian is incredibly grateful to you. She wants to thank you in person, but I'm worried she's not strong enough. How about a quick video call to say hello? In my past life, I never met Lin Qianqian. Now, I'm genuinely curious, just what kind of woman could drive Zhou Hao to sell his house and kill his wife? One thing I'm absolutely certain of, a woman capable of writing such a vile letter is no pushover. Zhou Hao quickly dialed Lin Qianshan's video call. On the screen, Lin Qianshan was deathly pale, her beautiful eyes brimming with tears. She truly looked the picture of pitiable vulnerability. No wonder Zhou Hao had carried a torch for her all these years. Shuyu, I truly don't know how to thank you. Once I recover, I'll repay this enormous kindness even if it means working myself to the bone for you. I didn't say a word, just stared at her face a moment longer. Lin Qianshan suddenly started coughing violently, looking as if she might cough up blood. Startled, Zhou Hao quickly pulled his phone back, his voice full of concern. What's wrong, Qianshan? Don't panic, I'll drive you to the hospital right now. We have enough money for your transplant surgery now. Zhou Hao comforted Lin Qianshan as he got into the driver's seat and started the car. When he realized I hadn't gotten in the car yet, there wasn't a trace of guilt on his face. He just tossed out, take a taxi home yourself, go home. He and I lost our home long ago. Now I just need to sit back and wait for the show to begin. I returned to my newly rented apartment, lounging on the sofa and leisurely waiting for Zhou Hao to call. I gave Zhou Hao an empty card from the same bank, with a balance of just 26 cents left in it. I didn't turn my phone off. I just wanted to see how hilariously furious he'd get. Sure enough, 2 hours later, Zhou Hao's calls started coming in one after another. I let him wait on the line for a bit on purpose before finally swiping to answer. Song Shuyu, are you out of your mind? How could you grab the wrong bank card? You've completely humiliated me in front of Qianshan and Uncle Lin. Get that card over here, right now. With the phone cradled between my shoulder and ear, I meticulously filed my nails, quietly listening to him bark out his orders. Come to think of it, both his first love and his future father-in-law were right there beside him. His voice was thick with embarrassment and anger. He wanted to regain the face he'd just lost, and he was trying to do it at my expense. I didn't give him the satisfaction, replying lazily, no time, I'm doing my nails. Zhou Hao thought he must have misheard, and repeated the words back in a daze. What did you just say? I gathered my thoughts for a moment, then launched into a tirade through the phone's receiver. No time. Why on earth should I hand over the money from selling my house to bail out your ex, just to show off in front of your first love? Zhou Hao, what do you take me for? I'm your wife, not your personal ATM. If Lin Qianshan really dies and you follow her in death, I might just burn some joss paper for the both of you. I rarely spoke to Zhou Hao in that tone. On the other end of the line, he was so startled he fell silent for a moment. All I could hear was his slow, heavy breathing and Lin Qianshan's pitiful, tearful voice. Has Shuyujia changed her mind? What should I do? I've already contacted the attending physician and was about to check in. She sniffled, her tone both endearing and resolute. Don't worry about me. You shouldn't let this come between you and your husband. Zhou Hao reassured her gently. Don't trouble yourself with this. I'll handle it. After the sound of footsteps faded, Zhou Hao seemed to have found a quieter spot to talk. His tone was sharp with impatience. Song Shuyu, where are you? I'm coming to find you right now. I replied with a laugh. You won't find me. I'm already out of town. With this much money suddenly in my hands, I'm definitely going to treat myself. The moment the words left my mouth, I could feel his hysterical rage even through the phone. Song Shuyu, are you out of your mind? If you never intended to save Qianshan, why on earth did you agree to sell the house? If I hadn't agreed to sell, how could I have gotten the money into my own hands? How else could I cut all ties with him cleanly, without leaving any leverage in his grasp? I will never give him another chance to hurt me. Zhou Hao was still on the other end of the line, screaming and cursing at me in a rage. You gave us hope, and now you've personally destroyed her. How can someone as cold-blooded and heartless as you even exist in this world? A selfish, vicious woman like you doesn't even deserve to live. Those same words echoed in my ears again, but thankfully, this time I wasn't standing on the edge of a cliff. This wasn't like when Zhou Hao held my life in his hands. I shot back at him, my voice dripping with sarcasm. A man who tells his own wife she doesn't deserve to live can't exactly claim the moral high ground. Now can he? Zhou Hao grew increasingly frantic and began to threaten me. Song Shuyu, I'm giving you 3 days to get the money to me, or you'll face the consequences. I replied, I'll give you the money on one condition, we get a divorce, then I might consider giving you 200,000. What do you mean, 200,000? The mortgage still has over 900,000 left, even with your savings. That's just enough to cover Qianshan's surgery and recovery. I was sick of looking at Zhou Hao's shameless, deranged, and utterly obsessed face. If you don't agree, you won't even get the 200,000. We can just drag this out forever. For all I care, I hung up the phone decisively and turned it off. These days, I can just relax and wait comfortably at home. Once he's driven to madness and breaks down, he'll be begging for me to show up. in my past life, with my parents gone and me having no one to rely on, he easily got his hands on my inheritance. In this new life, precisely because I have no weaknesses, I can finally go all out against him. After all, those with nothing to lose have no fear. A few days later, Sister Zhang brought a fine bottle of wine over to celebrate with me. She said Zhou Hao, with his back against the wall, had gone to her place to make a scene. He claimed that since Sister Zhang was the one who sent me the money, she should be held responsible too. He declared that until he saw the money, the house would not belong to Sister Zhang. He was determined to squat in the house until the money was deposited into his account. With a single phone call, Sister Zhang summoned a few burly men who promptly carried him out and threw him onto the street. After that ordeal, Zhou Hao became much more sensible and polite in front of Sister Zhang, and never caused trouble at her place again. I raised my glass to toast Sister Zhang. Sorry for the trouble, I said. I'll drink this as a penalty. Sister Zhang waved her hand dismissively. It's nothing, really, girls help girls. Sister Zhang is a straightforward and warm-hearted person. After I added her on WeChat and explained the whole situation to her, she said we women have to stick together and can't let those lousy men push us around. She agreed to help without a second thought. Zhou Hao was so furious that he even went to the police station to report me for fraud and absconding with funds. After understanding the whole story, the police refused to file a case, citing it as a domestic dispute. If he insists, he can choose to pursue legal action, knowing he was in the wrong. Zhou Hao had no choice but to drop it, and now he's searching high and low for my address. I waited a full 2 weeks before finally turning on my phone. The screen lit up with countless missed calls from Zhou Hao. On WeChat, there were over 99 unread voice messages. I randomly listened to a few, but there was nothing new. First, he cursed me out for absconding with the house money, with language so foul it would make a sailor blush. Then, he tearfully begged me to come back, saying Lin Qianqian had found a matching donor and the surgery was imminent. If I didn't come up with the money to save her, I'd be responsible for her death, and I'd never have a moment's peace for the rest of my life. The final voice message was him agreeing to the divorce for just 200,000. I called Zhou Hao to set a time for our divorce. To get it over with quickly, I opted for a court proceeding. On the day of the hearing, I saw Zhou Hao again, in just over 2 weeks. He had grown noticeably thinner, even his suit couldn't hide his weariness. When he glared at me, the resentment and bitterness in his eyes were almost palpable, but he had no other choice. Going through legal channels, he wouldn't even get 200,000. After receiving the divorce decree, Zhou Hao sat on the courthouse steps, weeping into his hands. 200,000 isn't even enough for the surgery. How am I supposed to save Qianqian? I stood behind him and sneered coldly. What's the matter? Can't save her without my money. Zhou Hao stood up, asking me through gritted teeth, Song Shuyu, do you even understand what love is? Do you know why I don't love you? If you were the one who was sick, and I begged Qianqian for help, someone as kind-hearted as her would sell her house to save you without a second thought. That's the difference between you and Qianqian. A selfish woman like you, who only cares about money, is utterly unworthy of my love. I looked him up and down with utter contempt. How pathetic. To this day, he's still arrogant enough to think his I don't love you spiel could actually get to me. I had no intention of arguing further. I simply reached out and snatched the car keys from his hand. His face registered shock. He followed me, his tone hostile. Song Shuyu, what are you doing? Are you that desperate for money that you'd even steal my car? I deftly unlocked the door, slid into the driver's seat, and shut it behind me. I replied in a flat tone, I bought this car. It's registered in my name. Is there a problem with me taking back what's mine? I rolled down the window and tossed his personal belongings out of the car. Song Shuyu, don't you dare go too far. Zhou Hao's face flushed crimson with humiliation, his eyes churning with pure hatred, his fists clenched, veins bulging on the back of his hands. He strode up to my car, clearly intent on violence. Unfazed, I simply waved the divorce decree in his direction. Zhou Hao, we're divorced. Lay a finger on me or my car now, and I'll sue you into oblivion. I'll have you locked up for good and sue for every last penny you own. You'd better save your pennies to rescue your sweet, innocent true love, Lin Qianqian. Zhou Hao stiffened, his fist clenching and unclenching. After a moment of internal struggle, he finally took a few steps back. Oh, and a friendly piece of advice. Selling your parents' old house now probably won't be fast enough to save her. A mortgage loan would be much quicker. With that, I stepped on the gas, and the car sped away. The wheels rolled over Zhou Hao's belongings, scattered across the ground. His self-respect was crushed along with them. A few months later, Zhou Hao's parents called me, weeping and pleading for help. They said he was lying in bed, refusing food and water, wasting away, and begged me to go see him. I absolutely have to go see him. I'm going to go laugh at his misfortune. I learned from them that the day after his divorce, Zhou Hao tricked his parents into mortgaging their old house by claiming he was seriously ill and urgently needed money. To get the money quickly, he didn't mortgage the house through a bank. It was mortgaged to a loan company. Combined with that 200,000, it totaled over 800,000 to pay for Lin Qianqian's medical treatment. He was fantasizing about the time after Lin Qianqian's recovery, when they would get married, have children, and live a blissful life together. The kind and sensible first love he always spoke of had already run off with his entire life savings. I had my doubts about Lin Qianqian's actions in my past life. After video calling her, I became even more certain she had ulterior motives. The attending physician she brought in to explain her condition was a fraud. Her illness is a complete sham. Her love for Zhou Hao was a lie. 2. The only thing that was real was the money Zhou Hao borrowed against his house for her. Zhou Hao couldn't take the blow. He searched for Lin Qianqian in a daze, but to no avail, and fell gravely ill. He lost his job, fell ill, and all his savings were swindled away by Lin Qianqian. They could just about scrape by on their parents' pensions, but repaying the mortgage was completely out of the question. After falling behind on payments for several months, the family was violently evicted by debt collectors, and their home was slated for auction, crammed into a dark, cramped rental. They couldn't stomach the hardship and soon set their sights on me again. His parents knew I still had several $100,000 tucked away and started lobbying for me to remarry Zhou Hao. They want me to put a down payment on a small house so we can live together, claiming the old couple could take care of me. Their pensions could also be used to support our living expenses. I'm not surprised by their shameless audacity. In my past life, when they heard of my death, they merely clicked their tongues in mild regret. What a shame about the unborn child. I heard from the coroner it was a boy. Zhou Hao made no attempt to hide it from them, replying with a cold expression. A woman as selfish and vicious as Song Shuyu would only pass on inferior genes to her child. It was only after my death that he learned I had been carrying his child. That day, he was so caught up in his reunion with Lin Qianqian that he had no time to spare for my test results. I was upset at the time and chose to keep it from him. On the day he pushed me off the cliff, even knowing I was pregnant, he showed no remorse. I pulled my hand free from Zhou Hao's mother's tight grip and shot a sidelong glance at the sickly-looking Zhou Hao. My refusal was blunt and final. There is no possibility of Zhou Hao and I getting back together. What's more, 4 months ago, when I had the abortion, I went ahead and got my tubes tied. I have no plans to get married or have children in the future. An abortion. Zhou Hao's parents froze for a moment, hurriedly lowering their heads to calculate the timing. Zhou Hao also frantically pushed himself up from the bed. That time you went to the hospital for a checkup, you were really pregnant. Zhou Hao pressed. What else? I shot back. I was having early pregnancy symptoms back then, but I was careless and didn't notice. It was Zhou Hao who figured it out first, and he insisted on taking me to the hospital for a checkup. Unfortunately, we ran into Lin Qianqian at the hospital. The stirrings of first love were rekindled in his eyes. Lin Qianqian was the only one who existed. Neither I, nor the child I carry. Zhou Hao's already haggard expression grew even more grim. A heavy silence fell over the room. Zhou Hao's mother suddenly burst into tears and demanded, "How dare you get an abortion without even being divorced yet? That was the Zhou family's grandson. Is the child yours alone? I'm calling the police on you." I sneered and asked her, "Even if I hadn't terminated the pregnancy, could your pathetic Zhou family even afford to raise a child in your current state?" My refusal to reconcile was firm and resolute. With all hope gone, Zhou Hao's mother dropped the act and started screaming curses at me. "If you had told him you were pregnant sooner, he wouldn't have been seduced by that homewrecker. We've been swindled out of everything. This is all your fault. I always said you were a jinx. You drove your own parents away and now you've done the same to your husband. It's all come true." She lunged at me, trying to claw at me, but I sidestepped and dodged her. "Mom, you two need to leave. I have to talk to her alone." Zhou Hao snapped, his face etched with irritation. With their son having spoken, the old couple had no choice but to grumble their way out of the rented apartment. I casually pulled over a chair, sat down across from Zhou Hao, and began fiddling with my phone. He stared at me blankly and asked, "Why did you get rid of the baby?" "Of course, I don't want to pass on inferior genes," I replied bluntly. Zhou Hao froze upon hearing this, as if the life had been instantly drained from him. His eyes sank into their sockets, his gaze vacant. "You," he managed to utter with difficulty, clutching his chest, unable to form another word. The boomerang had come back to hit him, and now he finally understood the pain, but his suffering is nothing. Not even a 10,000th of what I endured before I fell from the cliff. Oh, right. I almost forgot the main reason I'm here. I pulled out my phone, opened a video, and handed it to Zhou Hao. The video was shot in Hong Kong. In it, a stylish and energetic Lin Qianqian was on a shopping spree at the mall. Of course, she was spending the money she had swindled from Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao already knew Lin Qianqian had faked her illness to deceive him, but seeing it with his own eyes was still hard to swallow. Naturally, I had to pour fuel on the fire. I've already reported the fraudster who stole your money to the police, and, of course, I also tipped off her loan sharks about her whereabouts. As for who finds her first, that's up to her luck. During those 10+ days I spent forcing Zhou Hao to divorce and go off the grid, I wasn't idle. I dug deep into Lin Qianqian's family background and uncovered their major creditors. I also paid someone to tail Lin Qianqian and track her every move as she fled. Zhou Hao deserves to die for what he did to me, and the Lin father-daughter duo are far from innocent. I won't let them get away with it. After hearing me out, Zhou Hao stared at me in disbelief, his voice trembling. You knew all along that Lin Qianqian was lying to me. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He became hysterical and started turning the tables. Yes, I rekindled my feelings for her, but you're carrying my child. If you had told me earlier, for the sake of our family, I would have buried those feelings deep down. Song Shuyu, look at the mess we're in today. It's all your fault. I shrugged and scoffed coldly. What do you mean we? This is on you. I've got money and looks now. When I'm lonely, I can find myself a wolf pup or a cub for company. Does that sound like a mess to you? And don't you dare try to pin the blame on me, thinking I'll feel guilty about it. Not at all, Zhou Hao. Everything that's happened today is entirely your own doing. Your whole family has brought this fate upon yourselves. I said it all in one breath, the pent-up frustration in my heart finally dissipating, leaving me feeling completely unburdened. I stood up, smoothed the stray hairs by my ear, and took my phone back from his hand. Enjoy the rest of your miserable, pathetic life. The more scornful and mocking my tone became, the paler Zhou Hao's face grew. I couldn't tell if he simply couldn't take the provocation, or if he had planned this all along. The instant I turned my back, Zhou Hao pulled a dagger from under his pillow and lunged at me with a vicious snarl. I'll kill you, you bitch. The dagger was about to plunge into my back, but I dodged it. The weakened Zhou Hao collapsed face first onto the ground, the dagger clattering away from his hand, a pitiful sight. I turned the camera toward Zhou Hao, who had completely lost his mind. I feigned concern and tried to reason with him. Zhou Hao, attempted murder is just as serious as murder under the law. Calm down. So what if I die? Do you think I'm afraid of death? Looking like this, even if I die, I'm dragging you down to hell with me, you bitch. I tried reasoning with him again. You agreed to the divorce willingly. You can't blame me and try to kill me just because your life didn't turn out well. He picked up the dagger and struggled to his feet. I'll drag you down to hell with me before I let you get away scot-free. Clutching the dagger, Zhou Hao stumbled toward me once more. I had been training in boxing for a few months and was light on my feet. Taking on a grown man in a fight would be a tough challenge, but dodging a sickly man was child's play. Zhou Hao chased, I dodged, buying time while keeping myself as safe as possible, until the sound of police sirens pierced the air. Growing louder and closer, my legs gave way, and I collapsed to the ground. Zhou Hao seized the moment, gripping his dagger and thrusting it viciously toward me. Don't kill me, I shrieked in terror. Dodging frantically, the sharp blade was deflected by my arm, leaving a long, bloody gash. Blood streamed down my arm, dripping onto my face, my body, and the floor. The thick, metallic scent of it filled the room. Zhou Hao sneered with a vicious grin. Die, Song Shuyu. As the police burst through the door, Zhou Hao was raising the dagger high, poised to plunge it into my neck, covered in gore. I wrenched the dagger from his grasp and drove it deep into his abdomen. Zhou Hao was pronounced dead after unsuccessful resuscitation efforts in the operating room. Zhou Hao's parents wailed, demanding a life for a life. They didn't know that in my past life, I had already paid that price. This time around, I'm damn well going to live my life to the fullest. Zhou Hao's parents sued me in court. I had called the police in advance and recorded a video, so the chain of evidence was solid. When the police arrived, Zhou Hao indeed had both the motive and had taken action to kill me. In the end, I was found to have acted in self-defense and was acquitted. Zhou Hao passed away, and Lin Qianqian also vanished without a trace in Hong Kong. From the fragmentary remarks of those creditors, I learned that the Lin father and daughter were still repaying their debts, though life was far from easy for them. As for the specifics of how they managed the repayments, I didn't want to speculate any further. With my vengeance fulfilled, it was time for me to settle down and live my own life in peace. I sold my car and gave up my apartment. After saying goodbye to Sister Zhang, I set out on my journey. For the rest of my life, I will no longer dream of entrusting myself to anyone. I just want to see all the mountains and rivers, then choose a small town and go with the flow. Press forward without hesitation. And leave no path for retreat. The end. Story 2. The company was in trouble, and my father didn't hesitate to arrange a marriage between me and a business tycoon who already had a son. Of course, I was particularly satisfied with this. After all, I'm a singlehood advocate. If the other party already has a son, I wouldn't have to worry about childbirth in the future. Moreover, he's a workaholic with no time to accompany his son, who is taken care of by a nanny. I was thinking maybe I could just slack off in the future. After all, my husband is a proper CEO, and I wouldn't even need to raise the child. The wedding wasn't lively, just a simple, small ceremony with few attendees. Of course, I didn't see that child either. The man truly lives up to his workaholic reputation, heading straight to the office right after the wedding. Before leaving, he left a message. The company is busy, I won't be home these few days. Jet is already home. Go back later and get to know him. Jet Chin, the name of my stepson. My parents divorced, and I had a very distant relationship with my father. I didn't take much from home, just a necklace pendant, and left. Mrs. Chin, the young master is waiting for you in the living room. As soon as I entered, the housekeeper cheerfully informed me. So they're trying to assert dominance over me this soon. Forget it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. How scary can a kid be? But who is that delicate little dumpling sitting on the sofa right now? So tiny, so adorable, so soft. While I was lost in thought, the little glutinous rice ball walked up to me. Then, in his milky voice, he said, "Aunt, this is a gift prepared by Jet, for Auntie, a small pink teddy bear plushie." Even though the doll was bigger than him, he still tried his best to bring it to me, even though it was our first meeting. He was exceptionally friendly towards me. I was so touched that I quickly took the teddy bear from him, then crouched down and held his chubby little hands. Wow, thank you, sweetheart, I love it. You're Jet, right? I'm your mom, so no need to be so formal. From now on, we're family, you can call me Mom. Wow, so adorable. I want to hug him, such an adorable baby. That cheap husband of mine is simply inhuman, completely neglecting my son, my poor boy. That's right. From now on, he's my own son. Little Tuanzi seemed not to expect me to say this. His thin little body trembled slightly, his fair little face turned bright red, and he couldn't help but tug at the corner of his clothes, calling out cautiously, Mom." After speaking, he shyly lowered his head, stealing glances at me from time to time. Oh my goodness, forget about the father, the son is mine now. I cleared my throat and gave a serious Then I turned to the aunt who had been standing beside me and said, "Leave the child to me, you can go about your business." Very well, Mrs. Chin, this feeling is absolutely fantastic. I suppressed the joy in my heart, pretending as if nothing had happened, and gently picked up the little one into my arms. Then, with one arm holding the little one and the other carrying the teddy bear, I headed upstairs. I had visited a few times before the wedding, so I was quite familiar with the general layout of this villa, as expected of a big shot, a 6-story villa, complete with 3 elevators and 2 small gardens. The decor style is also very grand. I took little Tuanzi to the room prepared for me by Hail Chin and placed the teddy bear plushie next to the pillow. Jet, I'm sorry, Mommy didn't get you a gift, but this necklace pendant is very important to me. Can you help me keep it safe? I'll look at it every day, he promised. I put it on him, and he looked very happy. Then tonight you'll sleep with Mommy, and tomorrow Mommy will take Jet to kindergarten. Okay. I tried to keep my voice soft and gentle as I asked. If my sarcastic friends saw me being this gentle, they'd probably think I was possessed. Okay, another soft sound, so adorable, lost in my thoughts. I didn't notice the momentary stiffness on the little dumpling's soft, cute face. Evening. And so the little fox and the mother fox lived happily ever after. After finishing the story, I glanced down at the little one who had fallen asleep and gently put down the storybook. Just then, the phone suddenly rang. It startled me so much that I nearly dropped my phone, and I hurriedly hung up the call. Hearing the steady and even breathing of the little one, I finally let out a sigh of relief. I tiptoed out of the room and walked to a place where the little one wouldn't hear before calling back. Iris, when you actually hung up on me, the woman on the other end of the line shouted angrily. I was just spending time with my son. Besides, it's supposed to be my wedding night. Why are you calling me so late? I said helplessly. Come on, everyone knows your husband isn't even home. He went straight to the office right after the wedding ended. Wait, what did you just say, son? Since when do you have a son? The person on the other end of the phone was utterly shocked. I frowned. It's my husband's son, but now he's my own son too. It's normal for her not to know. I only found out when I was informed about my marriage to Hail Chin. Hail Chin has kept this child very well hidden, but now the news about this child has been made public, and don't make a fuss. Didn't you say you didn't like children? I know you're all alone. So I came to comfort you, Suwon said bluntly. How was I supposed to know the little one would be so adorable, though that's what I thought. I didn't say it out loud. Go on, what's the matter? You must come to the class reunion this Saturday. That little white lotus is coming too, remember, dress to impress and outshine her. Just from the tone, it was clear how furious Suwon was. Her expression must have been equally unpleasant. I found it somewhat amusing and reassured her. All right, it's been years. I've long forgotten about all that. The other end let out a humph and said nothing more. After exchanging a few brief words, we hung up the phone. I stood by the 5th-floor window, staring blankly at the sky. Suddenly, I remembered that summer after graduating from high school. In high school, Suwon, Jo Cece, and I were extremely close. At a gathering after the college entrance exams, the school heartthrob suddenly confessed his feelings to me. Everyone around us started teasing and making a scene, which annoyed me, so I straightforwardly rejected him. What I didn't know was that Jo Cece had liked that guy for a long time and had been pursuing him in secret. Because of my rejection, the school heartthrob couldn't take it and immediately started dating Jo Cece. Others said she only got to be with the school heartthrob because of me. This caused our relationship to deteriorate further. I thought we wouldn't see each other again after going to college. To my surprise, even though we weren't in the same university, she still went out of her way to spread rumors about me, determined to make my life miserable. However, she didn't stay with the school heartthrob for long before he cheated on her. I heard she's also attending the class reunion this Saturday. Arg, so annoying. I vented by roughly running my hands through my hair. But then, it's been so long, she might have forgotten. Thinking of this, I relaxed. In the following days, I stayed at home every day to keep Jet company. Apart from picking up and dropping off the kids every day, I spend my time designing my sketches. I'm a fashion designer for a well-known brand. I would never abandon my career just because of marriage. That would be too boring. Lately, because of little Tuanzi, I've been bursting with inspiration. It would be a shame not to put it to good use and design something worthy of my reputation. On Saturday morning, as I watched Nian Nian quietly stacking blocks, my face lit up with joy, but at the thought of the people I would have to face in the afternoon, I couldn't help but sigh. Why am I going to a class reunion instead of a parent-teacher meeting? Noticing my bad mood, Jet looked at me with concern. Mom, are you unhappy? I rubbed that chubby little face and said, Mommy has to go to a party this afternoon. Can Jet play at home by himself, after these past few days together? Jet has grown even closer to me. Can Jet come too? Jet will be good and listen. Thinking that she would also be at that party, I refused Jet. Those bright eyes dimmed instantly. Okay, Jet will wait at home for Mommy. I'm done for. Here comes the guilt. Would it be okay to take Jet along? I'll keep an eye on him anyway. If I leave him home alone, wouldn't that make me just like his dad? You can come, Jet. Will you keep Mommy company? Okay, seeing those eyes brighten up again. I breathed a sigh of relief. But why do I always feel like I've been tricked? The gathering was held in a private room. When we arrived, the party had already started. Isn't this the goddess Wen? Why so late? Come on, we've been waiting for you. I was noticed as soon as I entered the door. I can't even stay quietly in the corner anymore. I smiled and waved back, seeing Suwon continuously waving at me, and pulled Jet to walk over there. At this, everyone else stopped. Goddess Wen is here, and this child is. After sitting down, I pulled Jet into my arms and frowned at the bottles of alcohol on the table. My son. Then I turned to the waiter beside me and asked softly, do you have any drinks suitable for children here? Yes, we do. After settling Jet in, I finally looked at Suwon and said, tone down that look of yours. You're scaring my son. Suwon chuckled mischievously. Your son is adorable. Does he need a godmother? With a mischievous look. Go away, I said, looking at her with disdain. Then we chatted while eating. Before long, a strong scent of perfume wafted over. The next second, Jet sneezed. At the same time, a familiar voice rang out. Iris Wen, I heard you recently married a man with a child. Are you out of your mind? You wouldn't be going to be a... The rest of the sentence was left unsaid, but I knew exactly what she meant. Jo Cece, who are you mocking with your sarcastic tone? Suwon's temper flared instantly as she glared angrily at Jo Cece. She hypocritically covered her mouth. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I hit a nerve? I moved aside, covering Jet's nose, my voice icy. Jo Cece, you'd better stay away from us. Can't you see my son is disgusted by your stench? You. Her face turned extremely unpleasant. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, she pointed at Jet. Is this the child from your second marriage? Kid, do you really think she likes you? Once she's pregnant, her true nature will come out. That malicious expression was deeply unpleasant. Jet turned and buried himself in my arms. Thinking he was scared, I got furious and sneered, "Jo Cece, what's the matter? Didn't you say you came with your new boyfriend? Oh dear. Could it be you've cheated again? Honestly, you're so good looking. How could anyone not like you? He just had something to do today." Seeing her face turn as dark as could be, I knew I'd hit the mark, and instantly felt much better. Waving goodbye to Suwon, I walked off holding Jet. "Alright, I've finished today's gathering. I still have things to do, so I'll head off first. It's rare to have a gathering, and it got ruined. Maybe I should attend fewer of these in the future." Holding Jet, I didn't notice him giving a cold glance at Jo Cece, who remained motionless, before staring at my stomach. On the way home, Jet didn't say a word. I thought he was scared by Jo Cece's words and was about to comfort him when I saw him point at my belly with his little finger. "Mommy, what's wrong, Jet?" After a few seconds of silence, he asked curiously, "Why will the baby appear in the belly later?" I was charmed by his innocent words. All babies grow in their mommy's tummy. Then they're born, and slowly they become as big as Jet. But this isn't easy to explain to a child either. Oh, seeing his serious expression, I couldn't help but laugh. Kids are indeed too adorable. After arriving home, I saw an unexpected face. "Why are you back?" The man looked at me strangely. "This is my home." That was a miscalculation. Jet happily pounced over. "Daddy." I was a bit surprised watching the man's skillful baby-holding movements. I thought a man like him wouldn't be good at such things. Watching the father and son getting along so warmly over there, I suddenly felt a bit hungry. I didn't eat much at the party earlier. What a waste. I sighed silently in my heart for a second. Familiar with the routine, I opened the fridge door and rummaged for something to eat. "Don't forget to invite the father and son duo. Hail Chin, come quickly, don't be shy, let me know what you'd like to eat." The movements of both father and son froze simultaneously. "Hail Chin, Jet." The aunt who had been standing by the side, I felt a bit embarrassed. "Why does it feel like you're the guest here?" He gave me a look that said, "You finally noticed." Ignoring his speechless expression, I chuckled and said, "Never mind, hurry up and bring my son over, let's eat something first." After finishing the meal, we all stayed in the living room without moving. As usual, I curled up on the sofa, continuing to design the unfinished draft. Jet also took out a children's book and quietly read beside me. Hail Chin, unusually, didn't go to the company and was working on his laptop across from us. Somehow, there was a feeling of tranquil and peaceful days. An hour later, I stretched and put away the design drafts. Glancing at Jet, who was still reading, I said softly, "Jet, Mom will take you to the supermarket tonight, and tomorrow we'll go to the zoo." Okay, Jet nodded obediently, suddenly noticing Hail Chin's gaze. I felt puzzled. Is something wrong? I'm on vacation these few days, workaholic actually taking a vacation, and then, so I can spend these few days with Jet, meaning you're coming out with us tonight. He closed the laptop, adjusted his collar, looking completely unfazed. Jet's eyes widened in an instant as he swiftly turned to look. Gazing at Jet's profile, I inexplicably felt a pang of sorrow. Hail Chin has been too busy with work to spend time playing with Jet. No wonder the kid looked so surprised. The elegantly dressed Jo Cece appeared in my sight, arm in arm with a man. Me, as expected, the people you least want to see are the ones you inevitably run into. "Did you know I was coming here to have fun and deliberately came to cause trouble?" She looked at me with suspicion. "Hey, can you get a grip? I brought my son out to have fun. Who in their right mind would stalk you? Are you narcissistic or what?" I scoffed. Had I known she'd be at the zoo, I'd have gone to the amusement park instead. What kind of couple goes to the zoo for a date? Shouldn't they be riding the Ferris wheel or something? "Let's go. Jet wants to see the elephants." Hail Chin called out from a short distance away, holding Jet as a reminder. "That's your second marriage husband. You really enjoy raising someone else's kids, don't you?" I looked at her, feeling inexplicably complicated. How could someone change so completely, or was she always like this, and I just never noticed? I didn't respond to her, turning instead to walk toward Hail Chin. I remembered that year in high school when the three of us went out together. We passed by a family amusement park where many children were playing inside. On a whim, we joined them, playing on the trampoline with the kids, teaming up to ride the bumper cars, and those extra long slides. She was particularly protective of the children throughout, standing gently beside them. Whenever someone accidentally fell or a dispute arose, she would immediately step forward. The little kids all clung to her to play. Oh, right, on the way home, she said something I still remember vividly to this day. "Iris, Wan, I really love children, but I don't want to get married in the future. When you have kids, can I be their godmother?" Back then, we even promised to be each other's bridesmaids in the future. Now it's turned into this, Mom. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted as I looked at Jet. Come on, let's go see the elephants. After a day of fun and games, it turned out to be the most relaxed day I've had in recent years. It was only after spending time together that I realized Hail Chin isn't cold by nature, he's just not good with words. When he took Jet to buy snacks, his intention was clearly that these treats weren't good for a child's health, but all he could muster was a stiff no. When Jet wanted to get closer to see the tigers, though worried about Jet's safety and not wanting him to approach, he simply scolded Jet with a stern "don't go near." Suddenly, I felt like designing an outfit for him too. Well, might as well make it a matching family set. The kindergarten is holding a parent-child event, and the teacher suggests that both parents participate if possible. Looking at the man beside me, I suddenly feel a bit amazed. Since our last trip to the zoo, it seems like he's had more free time. We often go out together on weekends, have picnics, go shopping, of course, wearing the parent-child outfits I designed. Surprisingly, he cooperated quite well. As expected, he also attended this parent-child event. According to him, his younger brother Chin Nanyang is currently in charge of the company, so he doesn't need to attend corporate events during holidays. The first game begins. The rules are, the child takes off their shoes, and one parent carries the child from the starting point to the small stool, where the child puts their shoes back on. In front of the stool are 2 hula hoops. The parent must move them forward one by one, allowing the child to step through the hoops. The first team to return to the starting point wins. Most of this game is completed by fathers. Hail Chin holds Jet, standing at the starting point, waiting for the referee's command. Jet's eyes were sparkling, and the smile on his lips never faded. I kept taking photos of them on the side, leaving memories for Jet. Jet and Hail Chin secured first place with their perfect teamwork. In the following relay race, I also participated. After the parent-child activity, we won first place, and the prize was a large stuffed toy. I was so excited that I immediately turned to Hail Chin for a high five. Give me 5. He was unexpectedly cooperative. And I don't know if it was my imagination, but he seemed a bit gentler than usual. However, I found it less cute than the one Jet gave me, so I just shoved it at Hail Chin. After that, I spent a few more carefree days at home, sometimes going to the studio after dropping Jet off at kindergarten. That day, I received a message from Suwon. She sent me 2 photos, seemingly taken secretly, with a slightly tilted angle. The first one shows 2 people sitting across from each other in a restaurant, talking about something, both with smiles on their faces. I opened the second one. The woman was about to get into the car when the man beside her chivalrously opened the door. To prevent her from bumping her head, he even placed his hand on the upper frame of the car. As luck would have it, that gentlemanly man was my husband. A few more messages came through. My boyfriend's cousin went to the same middle school as your husband. He said your husband had a crush on someone back then, apparently. He even confessed his feelings. In the end, it seems he was rejected. Be careful, maybe they were together before, and Jet might even be the child of that white moonlight. Just today, I ran into him when I was having dinner with my boyfriend at a restaurant, and it was a couple's restaurant. You can read between the lines. Hearing this, I muttered, I went to the same middle school as him, but I never heard about any white moonlight. High school, maybe. I called her and comforted her as soon as the line connected. Don't overthink it. What if it's just a client? After all, ours is just a marriage of convenience anyway. I'd say I'm the one who married up. I shrugged it off. Silly Iris. What if they get back together? You'd be left in the dust, Suwon said, exasperated. Oh dear. Think about it. A woman who rejected Hail Chin must have very high standards. If he wants a divorce, then so be it. Hearing someone call Suwon over there, I waved my hand. All right, don't worry, go ahead and get busy. After hanging up, it suddenly occurred to me, if we were to divorce, wouldn't Jet, being his child, end up with him? No way. I've grown accustomed to life with Jet. I must discuss this with him. At night, after putting Jet to sleep, I went to find Hail Chin. Hail Chin, I want to ask you for something. Seeing me approach him first, he looked a bit stunned. Noticing his surprise, I took a deep breath. After the divorce, can Jet stay with me? Who said anything about divorce? He looked slightly puzzled. Wasn't Jet always ours? After a moment of realization, he narrowed his eyes slightly. Why would we need to divorce? Don't you have someone you like? Don't worry, I won't cling to you. The moment you say divorce, we can head straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau, I assured him. But can I keep Jet? He laughed in frustration. I don't have, no, I mean. He stared at me in silence again. Forget it, I'm not getting a divorce anyway. After saying that, he walked out of the study. As he left, I saw him slam the door shut abruptly. Just as I was waiting for the loud bang, I noticed him ease up at the last second before the door closed, shutting it carefully instead. Me, totally unnecessary. The next day, he miraculously didn't go to work and took the initiative to handle the task of taking Song Jet to kindergarten. Of course, I went along too, but when it was time to head home, he drove in another direction. Before I could voice my confusion, he said in a deep voice, "To build our relationship." A few minutes later, we arrived at the amusement park. After repeatedly confirming that this was indeed the destination, I turned to ask what was going on. He remained silent for a long while, then pulled me inside without a word. "I heard the Ferris wheel here is especially popular." And then, "Bro, can you change this habit of only saying half of what you mean?" And then I deeply realized just how peculiar this person's hobby was. He took me straight onto the Ferris wheel, sitting face to face like that. I was so embarrassed I wanted to dig a hole and disappear. We went back and forth like this 8 times, a full 8 times. We just sat there in complete silence. It wasn't the weekend, so there weren't many people around. The private room had only the 2 of us. I was practically on the verge of a breakdown when he tried to make me sit for the 9th time. I finally stopped him. He said with utter despair, "Big brother, what do you want to do? Tell me. I'll help you with any difficulties you have, or if you have any requests, I'll agree to them too. Let's not go up anymore, okay?" His face stiffened, and he muttered, "Don't get divorced." I widened my eyes, thinking I must have misheard. He added, "Let's take some time to nurture our feelings first." I couldn't help but laugh out loud, inexplicably finding him quite childish. "Don't you already have someone you like?" "You knew." His voice carried a hint of nervousness, with a flash of panic in his eyes, completely unlike his usual calm demeanor. "Of course, I don't oppose you spending time with the woman you like. You can go shopping or have meals with her." I teased him. "I've seen that woman once, and she's quite pretty. I support you." "Which woman?" "The one you had dinner with yesterday." He remained silent for a long while, even covering his face with his hand. I thought he was embarrassed and decided to give him some space to recover. Just as I turned to leave, he suddenly grabbed my hand. His face bore a seriousness I had never seen before. And then I heard him say word by word, "Iris, when, the only one I like is you, and it started a long time ago." I was stunned in an instant, countless thoughts churning endlessly in my mind, as if a little drum was beating in my heart, going thump, thump, thump continuously. "How, you, aren't." My words came out stammering. "If I didn't say it, you might never have known. Have you forgotten? Weren't we very close before? Why do we act like strangers now?" "Yeah. We were in the same class all 3 years of middle school, but we just lost touch after the high school entrance exam." I calmed down. "Didn't you have someone you liked? Later, you confessed and got rejected, right? Didn't you see it?" I hesitated slightly. "What?" "Necklace pendant. The graduation gift I gave you." He let out a bitter laugh. "I've never seen you wear it. You must have thrown it away already." Necklace pendant. Of course I didn't throw it away, to prevent him from finding out. I had Jet keep it for me. I actually liked that pendant quite a bit, which is why I've kept it until now. But I was worried he might feel awkward if he found out, so that's why I gave it to Jet. On the back of the pendant, there are the initials of both our names. You never replied to me, so I thought you rejected me." He chuckled lightly with self-mockery. "The person I had dinner with yesterday is Nanyang's new girlfriend. She came to the company looking for him, but he wasn't there. Worried about her safety, I offered to take her home. I've never liked anyone else, only you. There's one more thing Jet doesn't know. Actually, Jet isn't my biological child. Back then, I thought I would never get married, so I adopted Jet." My eyes trembled, but I always thought we would live a simple life together, never really considering love or the lack of it, and no matter whose child Jet is, I've already accepted him. He is my child. We can still continue our life as before. Watching his expression turn disappointed, my heart couldn't help but tighten. Unable to bear seeing him like this, words of comfort slipped out. "Let's ride the Ferris wheel one more time." The 9th time. After returning home, I thought about many things. When Jet returned in the evening, Hail Chin also went to the company as there were some matters he had to handle. "Jet, are you still wearing the necklace pendant Mom gave you?" "Yes, I am. It's a gift from Mom, and I really love it." "Then can Mom take a look at it?" I was eager to know the answer. After Jet handed it to me, I immediately opened it. Its front side bears a weapon emblem, while the back is plain. I never imagined it could be opened. On its reverse side, 2 letters are engraved, WQ. I used to mock his taste, wondering what kind of aesthetic would lead someone to gift a girl a pendant with a weapon emblem. Weapon. So he had confessed his feelings to me back then. My eyes are a bit sore. Jet looked at me with concern. "It's nothing, Jet. Mommy just realized something. Did your kindergarten teacher assign any craft homework today? I pretended to be indifferent and chatted with Jet as usual, but as we talked, I found myself getting distracted. I was about to call Suwon to ask, but then I thought it would be more appropriate to figure this out on my own. Back in middle school, at that time, one of us was the class president and the other was the vice president, although we interacted a lot. I didn't feel anything special. Our relationship was just proper and by the book. Every day, it's just going to the office together, organizing class information together. Could it be that I helped him with something, and he's very grateful? If I were to say what I've helped him with, there really isn't much. Was it that one rainy day when I gave him an umbrella? I lent him an eraser during a placement exam. That time, it seemed he scored even better than me. I remember once he participated in a long-distance race while sick, and after noticing, I took him to the infirmary. Sometimes during his basketball games, I even brought him water, but he also helped me, like when I didn't pay attention in class, he would make me copy notes. Of course, we lost contact after the middle school entrance exam, until recently on my wedding day. In the following days, we got along as usual. He went to work, Jet went to school, and I worked on designing blueprints. On Saturday, Jet was sent to his hobby class, and the aunt had gone home. It was just the two of us in the living room. After a long while, I pursed my lips and stopped working on the draft in my hands. My eyes unconsciously drifted to the side. I want to give it a try. Spending the rest of my life with you. Is it too late now? He didn't speak, just stared at me. For some reason, I felt a bit nervous and unconsciously tightened my grip on the pen. After a long pause, he smiled. Let's take a family portrait tomorrow. And so, we truly came together. No grand proposal, no passionate vows of eternal love, yet there was a warm little home. In middle school, I met a girl who was like a little sun, lends me her umbrella on rainy days, then cheerfully runs into the rain herself. She also takes me to the infirmary when I'm sick. Sometimes during basketball games, she comes to watch and even hands me water. I wonder if she likes me. Otherwise, why would you be so nice to me? That day, I overheard her conversation with a friend. That person asked if she liked me, as she was often seen spending time with me. She still smiled, but the words she spoke made my heart ache slightly. What are you talking about? We're just classmates. If a classmate needs help, wouldn't you lend a hand? I couldn't hear what was said after that. I didn't even realize when they left. After the high school entrance exam, I didn't want to have any regrets, so we had a necklace custom made with our initials. A guy giving a girl this kind of gift, she should know what it means, right? But after that, we lost contact. Later, I adopted Jet. That child's eyes look so much like hers. I thought I would just go on living like this, but we met again. On our wedding day, I noticed she seemed distracted the whole time and thought she must really dislike me. So right after the ceremony, I made up an excuse about work and left in a hurry. Gradually, I began to realize that she might not actually dislike me after all. I want to try again, so I handed over the company matters to Nanyang, leaving time for her and Jet. I thought taking things slow like this would be fine. Who knew she would say we'd end up getting divorced? I feel like we can't go on like this, so I confessed. And so, now we're truly together. I don't have a mother. A kindergarten classmate said his parents were divorced, and he didn't like his new mother. He was unhappy every day. I'm very scared because Dad said I'm going to have a mother. He said the new mother thinks he's immature and doesn't listen at all. So I begged Dad to buy a teddy bear as a gift. He said the new mother won't let him call her mom. Only auntie, but I found out that wasn't the case. Mom is very kind. She lets me call her mom and even gave me a gift. Every night, Mom tells me stories and helps me with homework. Even when I don't do well on tests, she never criticizes me. She would take me out to play and teach me many other things. None of those were in books. That time Mom took me to a party, that strange woman said if Mom had a baby in her belly, she wouldn't like me anymore. I'm not sad. I just think that auntie is really annoying. There's no way I could have a baby in my belly. The other kids told me so. Some say he popped out of a rock. Others say he was picked up from a trash can. Humph. I'm more special. Dad said I came free with the house. She can't fool me. But later, Mom said all children grow up inside their mother's belly. I noticed that Mom and Dad have changed recently. They used to not talk much. But lately Dad often stays with Mom. Sometimes after putting me to sleep at night, she still has to go and comfort Dad. Dad always tries to compete with me for Mom's attention. After I started elementary school, my classmates would show off their little sisters to me. I want a little sister too, but Mom and Dad said they would consider it when I grow up. The reason is they worry about not being able to treat everyone equally. I don't understand. But I know Mom listens to me, so I keep asking her for a little sister every day. Until I was 9 years old, my mother was pregnant, so I got a younger brother and a younger sister. My brother is Qin Qishi, and my sister is Qin Huashi. Here is the second article. Jianan, you'd better be sensible and sign the papers. Lin Ziyuan's voice was like a blunt knife, slowly and cruelly slicing away at my self-respect. In front of the divorce window at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he stood tall in his tailored suit, even his cufflinks gleaming coldly, while I wore a faded dress. Like a worn-out rag drained of all value, Brother Ji, why waste your breath on her? Jiang Ting clung to Lin Ziyuan's arm, her bright red manicured fingers waving in front of me. Sister Jian, this agreement is already generous enough. Brother Ji is soft-hearted, he didn't even demand repayment for all you've lived off him these 3 years. I clenched the pen so tightly my knuckles turned white, for the first time in 3 years. I took a good look at this despicable pair. The calculation in Lin Ziyuan's eyes and the smugness on Jiang Ting's face stabbed into me like needles. Lin Ziyuan, my voice trembled, you promised to take care of me for life when we got married. Now you even want to take the small apartment my parents left me, that was always mine. Lin Ziyuan suddenly raised his voice, drawing glances from those around us. What right does a housewife like you have to claim property? You'd have starved to death without me. Jiang Ting sneered. Sister Jian, Brother Yuan is now the vice president of Lin Enterprises. Do you know how many people are trying to curry favor with him? You should consider yourself lucky to walk away with nothing. I lowered my head to look at the divorce agreement, which clearly stated, the wife voluntarily relinquishes all marital assets, 3 years of marriage. I quit my job to care for his sick mother, scrimped and saved every day, only to be repaid with his infidelity and a demand to leave with nothing. Hurry up and sign, don't waste time. Lin Ziyuan tapped the table impatiently. I'm taking Tingting to look at our new house this afternoon. A teardrop fell onto the agreement, and I raised my hand to wipe it away. Not worth crying over someone like this. I took a deep breath and prepared to sign my name. Madam, please wait a moment. A hurried voice interrupted me. Turning to look, I saw a man in a well-tailored suit walking briskly toward us, followed by 2 men who appeared to be bodyguards. Beads of sweat dotted his forehead, as if he had rushed here in a hurry. Are you Ms. Jianan? He confirmed. I nodded blankly. Lin Ziyuan frowned and said, Who are you? We're in the middle of a divorce. Don't interfere if you're not involved. The man ignored him, taking out a gilded document from his briefcase. Madam, I am Zhou Lin, the special assistant to the president of the Jian Group. Your grandfather, Mr. Jian, passed away 3 days ago, leaving a will designating you as the sole heir. These documents require your personal signature for confirmation. The entire hall fell silent in an instant. Lin Ziyuan's expression froze. What? Inheritance? My voice trembled. Zhou Lin respectfully handed over the documents. The Jian Group has a market value of approximately 120 billion. Along with 37 properties worldwide and multiple investments, according to the will, all of these are to be inherited by you. Jiang Ting suddenly let out a shrill laugh. What kind of joke is this? She's just a poor housewife. Where would she get a billionaire grandfather? Zhou Lin gave her a cold glance and pulled out a tablet, displaying a series of photos. This is a photo of Mr. Jian and his wife. This is the DNA test report, and this is the asset certificate from a Swiss bank. I stared at the white-haired old man in the photo, and memories suddenly flooded back. When I was 6, after my parents died in a car accident, before I was sent to the orphanage, an old man did come to see me and slipped me a pocket watch. Impossible. Lin Ziyuan snatched the documents, his face growing increasingly grim. Jianan, you kept this from me. You pretended to be poor to test me. I looked at his contorted face and suddenly laughed. Turns out people really do laugh out loud when they're utterly shocked. Lin Ziyuan, I slowly took back the documents. Now, it's time to renegotiate the divorce terms. The bodyguards Zhou Lin brought quickly separated Lin Ziyuan and Jiang Ting. I sat in the VIP room of the Civil Affairs Bureau, with a thick stack of asset documents spread out before me, each page making my head spin. Madam, you need to sign these documents first before the inheritance process can officially begin. Zhou Lin pointed to several signature fields. Mr. Jian specifically instructed that we ensure you're not under any coercion from anyone. I glanced up at Lin Ziyuan pacing anxiously outside the glass door, shouting into his phone, while Jiang Ting stood pale-faced, gripping her bag strapped tightly. Assistant Zhou, why did my grandfather only find me now? Zhou Lin's expression darkened slightly. Old Mr. Jian had some misunderstandings with your father back then. By the time he came around, your parents had already. It took us over a decade to confirm your whereabouts. The old gentleman had intended to meet you in person, but his condition suddenly worsened. I traced my fingers over my grandfather's photo on the document, my throat tightening. So there were still relatives in this world who remembered me, only it came too late. Madam, there's something you should know. Zhou Lin lowered his voice. The Lin Corporation where your husband Lin Ziyuan works is actually majority controlled by the Jian Group. In other words, you are now his boss. This ironic fact almost made me laugh out loud again. After 3 years of marriage, Lin Ziyuan boasted every day about how much the company valued him, never realizing that the superiors he curried favor with would ultimately have to report to me. Jianan, Lin Ziyuan suddenly burst in, his face plastered with an obsequious smile I'd never seen before. Darling, it's all a misunderstanding. How could I possibly divorce you? Tingting is just a distant cousin. Jiang Ting let out an incredulous sob from behind. I looked at him calmly. Bring me the divorce papers. No, Anan, listen to me. Bring them here. My voice wasn't loud, but Zhou Lin and the 2 bodyguards immediately stepped forward. Lin Ziyuan's expression changed, and he reluctantly handed over the agreement. I slowly tore the agreement in half in front of everyone. Lin Ziyuan, bring your newly drafted divorce agreement to the Jian Group building tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. Remember, I want you to walk away with nothing. Watching his face turn ashen, for the first time in 3 years, I felt what it meant to be truly satisfied. In the top-floor conference room of the Jian Group building, facing a room full of executives in suits, my palms were sweating. Zhou Lin stood beside me, quietly reminding me of each person's name and position. This is Mr. Qin Mo, CEO of Star Group and an important partner of the Jian family. Zhou Lin introduced the last person. I looked up and met a pair of deep, ink-black eyes. The man appeared to be in his early 30s, with sharp features and a cold, composed demeanor accentuated by his impeccably tailored black suit. Unlike the curious or ingratiating gazes of others, his eyes were calm and focused, as if assessing something long admired. Miss Jian, he gave a slight nod, his voice deep. Your grandfather was a most respectable elder. Thank you. I forced a smile. Having absorbed too much information these past 2 days, I hadn't yet transitioned from housewife to heir to hundreds of billions. After the meeting, just as I was about to hurry back to the temporarily arranged apartment to rest, Lin Ziyuan stopped me at the elevator entrance, and then, his face was unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't slept all night. I've drafted a new agreement. Look, I want nothing, just please don't ruin my career, I sneered. Now you're begging for mercy. Did you ever consider the consequences when you and your mistress humiliated me? It was Jiang Ting who seduced me. I swear I'll never. Miss Jian needs rest. A cold voice cut in. Qin Mo had appeared beside me at some point, his sharp gaze sweeping over Lin Ziyuan. Vice President Lin, harassing a woman is hardly gentlemanly behavior. Lin Ziyuan's face flushed red. President Qin, this is our family matter, not anymore. Qin Mo pressed the elevator button. Miss Jian has just inherited the group and has many matters to attend to. Assistant Zhou, see them out. Zhou Lin immediately stepped forward with the security guards. As Lin Ziyuan was being escorted out, he turned back and shouted at me, Anan, I'll wait for you to change your mind. The elevator doors closed, leaving only Qin Mo and me in the confined space. The silence suddenly became awkward. Thank you, I whispered. No need, he said, looking straight ahead. I've seen plenty of people like Lin Ziyuan. Do you need a lawyer? I can recommend one who specializes in divorce cases. I shook my head. Zhou Lin has already arranged it. After a moment's hesitation, I added, actually, I don't really understand business operations. Taking over such a large group so suddenly, old Mr. Jian left behind a well-established team. Qin Mo finally looked at me, his gaze unexpectedly softening a bit. You only need to make decisions. There's no need to worry about execution. The elevator reached the first floor, and he made a pleased gesture. If you need anything, feel free to contact me anytime. Your grandfather and I had a special connection. Watching his tall, straight figure walk away, I suddenly felt that perhaps the end of this absurd marriage was another door fate had opened for me. The glass curtain walls of the Jian Group building glittered in the sunlight. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window in the top-floor office, I looked down at the entire city. 3 days ago, I was still a housewife who hesitated even to take a taxi. Now, half of this city's skyline belongs to me. Madam, Mr. Lin has arrived. Zhou Lin's voice came through the intercom. Let him wait. I took a sip of coffee, the bitterness spreading on my tongue. This was the Blue Mountain coffee Zhou Lin had specially prepared, a single cup costing as much as my weekly grocery budget in the past. I deliberately made Lin Ziyuan wait in the reception area for 40 minutes before allowing him in. He pushed the door open, his suit crumpled, with 2 dark circles under his eyes, clutching a document folder tightly in his hand, and then, he forced an ingratiating smile. I brought you the soy milk from that shop in the east of the city you love so much. Remember, you used to always say, Assistant Zhou. I cut him off. Check the documents Mr. Lin has brought. Zhou Lin took the document folder, put on white gloves, and began examining it carefully. Lin Ziyuan's smile froze on his face, the soy milk in his hand trembling slightly. Madam, it's the newly drafted divorce agreement, Zhou Lin confirmed before handing it to me. The terms largely meet your requirements. I opened the document, as expected. Lin Ziyuan had relinquished all shared assets, even including the small apartment left by my parents. But what surprised me most was the additional clause. He voluntarily gave up all his positions and shares in the Lin Corporation. So generous, I raised an eyebrow at him. Lin Ziyuan rubbed his hands together, and then, I know I was wrong. As long as you're willing to forgive me, I'll do anything. Actually, Jiang Ting and I have long, sign it. I pushed the pen toward him, not wanting to hear his clumsy excuses. After signing, Lin Ziyuan looked at me hesitantly. And then, about the company. Oh, you mean Lin Enterprises. I feigned sudden realization. Assistant Zhou, inform HR that Mr. Lin Ziyuan has voluntarily resigned, effective immediately. Lin Ziyuan's face turned pale. Jianan, you can't do this. I've worked at Lin Enterprises for 8 years, why can't I? I stood up, looking down at him. Didn't you just voluntarily give up all your positions? Or, I waved the agreement in the air. Are you having second thoughts? He looked like a rooster with its neck wrung, his face flushing red as he struggled to speak. Get out. I pressed the call button. And don't forget to take your soy milk with you. When the security guard entered, Lin Ziyuan suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud, and then, please give me a way out. That bitch Jiang Ting ran off with all my savings. If I lose this job, Lin Ziyuan, I cut him off coldly. When your mother was sick, I quit my job to take care of her for 6 months. You said you needed to entertain clients, so I gave you money from my dowry to buy suits. For your birthday, I stayed up 3 nights in a row just to knit you a scarf. I took a deep breath. And how did you repay me? He was left speechless as the security guards dragged him out. Zhou Lin handed me a wet wipe. And only then did I realize my hands were trembling. Wiping the cold sweat from my palms, I asked, what's next on the schedule? At 3 p.m., there's a meeting with President Qin of Star Group to discuss the cooperative project for the South City Development Zone. Qin Mo. I remember the man with deep eyes in the elevator yesterday. Prepare the documents, I said. I want to rest for a while first. The meeting room of Star Group is even larger than that of Jian's. I sat at one end of the long table, facing Qin Mo and his team. He wore a dark gray suit today, which accentuated his sharp features. His words were measured and unhurried, yet each one carried weight. Miss Jian, do you have any suggestions regarding the development zone plan? He suddenly turned the topic to me. All eyes focused on me. I tightened my grip on the pen in my hand, although Zhou Lin had briefed me beforehand. Facing these business elites still made me feel a pang of inadequacy. I cleared my throat. The plan lacks sufficient public green spaces. Data shows that for every 10% increase in green space, the surrounding commercial value rises by 15% to 20%. The meeting room fell silent for a second. A flicker of surprise crossed Qin Mo's eyes, followed by a slight curl of his lips. Interesting. Does Miss Jian have a specific proposal? I hadn't expected him to press further, but I steeled myself and continued. We could add a sunken garden plaza at the center of the commercial district. It wouldn't affect the building's floor area ratio while improving the overall environmental quality. What about the cost? One of his subordinates questioned. I was about to answer when Qin Mo spoke first. Miss Jian's proposal is very valuable. Director Wang, recalculate the plan and include the garden plaza. After the meeting, Qin Mo kept me behind alone. Did Miss Jian study urban planning before? My major in college was landscape design, I replied, somewhat surprised he remembered such details. I haven't touched it since graduation. You have a unique perspective. He handed me a document. Would you be interested in looking at this project? We have a castle restoration in Europe and need professional input. I opened the file. It was a restoration plan for a 17th century French castle. This was exactly the type of work I had dreamed of during my university years. Why me? I couldn't help but ask. Qin Mo's gaze rested on my face. Your grandfather often said that your father was the most talented designer he'd ever seen. I suppose talent must be hereditary. My chest tightened. This was the first time I'd heard any evaluation of my father, and it came from a stranger. Thank you. I carefully put away the documents. I'll review them thoroughly. As I was leaving Star Group, Zhou Lin shared some news with me. Madam, after being expelled from the Lin family, Lin Ziyuan went straight to Jiang Ting's apartment. They had a violent argument. The neighbors called the police, and Lin Ziyuan was taken to the station. Is Jiang Ting alright? Minor scratches. But, Zhou Lin hesitated, she's threatening to sue Lin Ziyuan for domestic violence, on the condition that you reinstate him to his position. I sneered. Tell Jiang Ting that if she dares to sue, I'll hand over the evidence of Lin Ziyuan embezzling public funds to the police. Zhou Lin looked at me in surprise. How did you know he? I guessed. I shrugged. With Lin Ziyuan's personality, it's impossible for him to be clean. Once in the car, I received a text from an unknown number. Be careful with Jiang Ting. She has someone behind her. Who is that? Just as I was puzzled, Qin Mo's call came through. Miss Jian, are you free tomorrow? I'd like to invite you to see the original blueprints of the castle in my private library. His voice came through the phone. Deep as a cello. I don't know why my heart raced. Okay, what time? 7 in the evening. I'll send a car for you. Hanging up the phone, I watched the streets rushing past outside the window and suddenly realized that in just a few days, my world had been turned upside down. Qin Mo's residence is located on a quiet mountainside in the suburbs. A modern-style 3-story villa with floor-to-ceiling windows reflecting the sunset like a giant piece of amber. When the butler led me into the study, Qin Mo was standing on a ladder retrieving a hefty ancient tome. He wasn't wearing a suit today, just a simple white shirt and black casual pants, yet he still exuded an air of aristocratic elegance. You're here, he said lightly, jumping down from the ladder and placing the book on the spacious oak desk. This is the original 1789 castle design blueprint, bought from a Paris auction house. I carefully unfolded the yellowed parchment and was immediately captivated by the intricate lines. This was a true work of art, every stroke revealing the craftsman's dedication. It's so beautiful. I couldn't help but trace the blueprint with my fingers. Look at this courtyard design. The fountain is perfectly positioned to catch the sunrise light. When I looked up, I noticed Qin Mo gazing at me intently, his expression uncharacteristically tender. My cheeks grew warm, and I quickly lowered my head to continue studying the drawing. You resemble your father very much, he suddenly said. You knew my father. I looked up in surprise. Qin Mo walked to the window, his back turned to me. 10 years ago, I met him when I was studying at Cambridge. He came to give a short lecture on the fusion of Eastern gardens and Western architecture. My heart raced. My father passed away when I was 6, and my memories of him had long since faded. Mother rarely mentioned him, let alone his academic achievements. What kind of person was he? Brilliant, gentle, and refined. Qin Mo turned around. He mentioned you once, saying his youngest daughter inherited his artistic talent. My eyes suddenly grew hot, and I hurriedly pretended to study the blueprint to hide my emotions. Qin Mo thoughtfully didn't disturb me, just poured a cup of black tea and placed it by my hand. By the way, he suddenly seemed to remember something. I heard your ex-husband has been giving you trouble lately. I smiled bitterly. He's tried every connection to see me, but Zhou Lin has blocked him every time. Need any help? No need for now. I shook my head. The legal procedures have already been completed. Qin Mo seemed thoughtful. Lin Ziyuan isn't a concern, but that mistress of his, Jiang Ting, do you know her background? Only that she's the PR manager of Lin Corporation. From an ordinary family background, I found some interesting information. Qin Mo opened his laptop. Jiang Ting's mother used to work at Jian Group. 20 years ago, she was fired for embezzlement. Coincidentally, it was your grandfather who led the investigation at the time. I widened my eyes. Are you saying? Jiang Ting approached Lin Ziyuan with a premeditated plan. Very likely. Qin Mo turned the computer toward me. What's even stranger is that Jiang Ting has been frequently contacting a director of the Jian Group recently, Yang Guohua. On the screen was a series of surveillance screenshots showing Jiang Ting in a secret conversation with a man in his 50s at a cafe. I recognized that man. He was a veteran figure in the Jian Group, one of the most trusted right-hand men of my grandfather, Director Yang. I murmured. Zhou Lin said he's the most opposed to me inheriting the group. Qin Mo closed his laptop. Miss Jian, you're in a very dangerous situation now. A fortune worth billions is enough to make people take desperate risks. A chill ran down my spine. If Yang Guohua and Jiang Ting join forces, what's their goal? To eliminate me and seize control of the Jian family. Why are you helping me? I stared directly into Qin Mo's eyes. Just because you knew my father. Qin Mo remained silent for a moment, then took an envelope from the desk drawer. Your grandfather entrusted this to me before his passing, to deliver to you. I think now is the right time. Inside the envelope were a letter and a photograph. The photo shows a young grandfather holding a baby in front of the old house, with the back inscribed, in memory of Anan's first birthday. The letter is brief. Anan, if you are reading this letter, it means Qin Mo believes you are ready to know the truth. He is a trustworthy man, and I arranged for him to become your husband. Grandfather, I suddenly looked up, too shocked to speak. Chin Mo was gazing at me with a complicated expression. So, all this, your grandfather and my father were life and death friends, Chin Mo explained softly. 3 years ago, he came to me, saying he wanted to find a reliable person for his long-lost granddaughter. I agreed, but on the condition that it had to be your own choice. My mind was in complete chaos. So grandfather had planned everything long ago. What about Lin Ziyuan? Was our marriage also arranged? As if seeing through my thoughts, Chin Mo shook his head. Lin Ziyuan was an accident. By the time we found you, you were already married to him. Your grandfather respected your choice, but secretly acquired the Lin Corporation to ensure your husband wouldn't mistreat you. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So the love I thought was free had such a backstory after all. Now you know. Chin Mo took a step back. I won't force you to accept any arrangement. If you wish, I can simply remain Jian's business partner. Outside the window, the last ray of sunset disappeared behind the mountains, the study fell into dimness, and I could no longer make out Chin Mo's expression. I need time, I said with difficulty. Of course. He pressed the call button. The butler will see you out. Before leaving, I couldn't help but turn back. Chin Mo, if I hadn't inherited the fortune, would you still have appeared in my life? He stood in the shadows, his voice almost inaudible. I would have waited for you, until you were ready. 7. Chin Mo sent a car to take me back to the Jian Group building, my hands tightly clutching my grandfather's letter and that yellowed photograph. Outside the car window, neon lights blurred in the rain like spilled paint. Zhou Lin was waiting at the building entrance, holding a black umbrella. Madam, Director Yang has called an emergency board meeting, claiming it's to discuss the group's successor issue. I let out a cold laugh. Perfect timing. As the elevator ascended, Zhou Lin looked at me hesitantly. Madam, you don't look well. Assistant Zhou. I interrupted him. Did my father work at Jian Corporation back in the day? Zhou Lin was visibly taken aback. Young Master Jian, that is, your father, was once the head of the group's design department, but that was over 20 years ago. Why did he leave later? Zhou Lin looked troubled. Mr. Jian and the young master have some disagreements on certain decisions. I don't know the specifics. The elevator reached the top floor, and I walked straight to the conference room, only to be stopped by the secretary at the door. Miss Jian, the board meeting is in progress. You can't. I pushed past her and swung open the conference room door. Around the long table sat over a dozen board members, with Yang Guohua presiding at the head, passionately making his case. Everyone froze when I barged in. Go on, Uncle Yang. I walked in with a smile. I'd love to hear your thoughts on who should succeed the group's leadership. Yang Guohua, in his early 50s, had meticulously combed gray temples, and his eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses gleamed shrewdly. He quickly regained his composure, and in perfect timing, we were just discussing whether you're suitable to take over the group. After all, you have zero business experience, so. I pulled out a chair and sat down. Who do you think is more suitable? Yourself. The meeting room fell into complete silence. A flicker of irritation crossed Yang Guohua's face. I'm thinking of your best interests. A company as large as Jian's cannot be handed over to an outsider. Director Yang, I said deliberately as I opened my briefcase. Who did you meet at Champs-Élysées Cafe last Wednesday at 3 p.m.? Yang Guohua's expression changed slightly. I don't understand what you're talking about. I took out the photo Chin Mo had given me and pushed it to the center of the table. Jiang Ting, Lin Ziyuan's mistress. Her mother was fired by Jian Corporation 20 years ago for embezzlement, and you, Mr. Yang, were the audit director in charge of that investigation at the time. The board members passed the photo around, whispering among themselves. Yang Guohua's forehead beaded with sweat. What does this prove? I was just meeting the child of an old friend. Is that so? I opened my phone and played a recording. Jiang Ting's shrill voice came through clearly. Don't worry, Uncle Yang. As long as that girl is driven out of Jian Corporation, the share you promised me will be paid in full. I was the one who instructed Zhou Lin to arrange the recording. Ever since I found out Jiang Ting was in contact with Yang Guohua, I had someone keep an eye on her. Yang Guohua suddenly stood up. This is a setup. Jianan, do you really think you can? Enough. I rose to my feet and scanned the room. Everyone here is a veteran who fought alongside my grandfather to build this empire. I didn't come today to seek your approval. I came to inform you. From this day forward, I will take full control of the Jian Group. Anyone who disagrees can leave now. The meeting room was deathly silent. Finally, an elderly female director was the first to applaud. Old Jian truly didn't misjudge this person. Others gradually followed suit. Yang Guohua, left isolated and unsupported, stormed out with a livid expression, slamming the door behind him. After the meeting, Zhou Lin handed me a worn craft paper bag. Madam, This was found in your father's old office safe. Young Wohwa had been keeping the key. But we forced it open today. Inside the bag were a notebook and several design blueprints. I opened the notebook, and the first page struck me like a bolt of lightning. If they discover I'm investigating Wohwa's embezzlement of the pension fund, Xiaoyun and I might be in danger. Father doesn't believe me, but I must leave evidence. This is father's handwriting. My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages, which meticulously documented how young Wohwa embezzled Jian family funds through fake projects, even including transfer receipts and forged signature comparisons. The last page read, "After taking in into the amusement park tomorrow, I'll confront father directly. I hope he'll believe me this time." The date was exactly 1 day before my parents' car accident. My vision blurred, and the notebook fell to the ground with a thud. So my parents' car accident wasn't an accident, it was murder. "Madam," Zhou Lin steadied me as I swayed. "What's wrong? Call a car." I gripped his arm. "I need to see Qin Mo, now." Qin Mo's villa was brightly lit. The butler, noticing my unusual expression, immediately took me to the study. Qin Mo was on a phone call but hung up instantly upon seeing my pale face. "What happened?" he asked, walking quickly towards me. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Tears streamed down uncontrollably as the notebook and photos slipped from my hands. Qin Mo picked them up and quickly scanned through them, his expression growing increasingly grim. "Zhou Lin, you go back first," he ordered. "Tell everyone that Miss Jian won't be returning tonight." After Zhou Lin left, I finally broke down. They killed my parents, just for money. Young Wohua, Jiangting's mother, they're all murderers. Qin Mo held me tightly, letting me sob uncontrollably in his arms. His heartbeat was steady and strong, calming me slightly. "Breathe," he patted my back gently. "Breathe slowly." I caught a faint scent of sandalwood on him, mingled with a hint of cedar, inexplicably soothing. Having cried my fill, I withdrew in embarrassment as Qin Mo handed me a dark blue handkerchief. "You knew all along, didn't you?" I wiped my tears. "Grandfather arranged for you to get close to me, not just for the marriage alliance." Qin Mo nodded. "My father was your grandfather's personal lawyer. After the car accident back then, your grandfather suspected foul play but lacked evidence. It wasn't until 3 years ago that we found records of young Wohua secretly transferring money to Jiangting's mother. Why tell me only now? You need time to grow stronger." Qin Mo's eyes were as deep as the sea. "Telling you the truth directly is too dangerous. You might act impulsively." He was right. If not for going through the divorce turmoil and inheritance storm, the current me would probably grab a knife and go straight to young Wohua for revenge. What should I do? I clenched my fists. "Call the police. The evidence isn't enough yet." Qin Mo shook his head. "Your father's notes are an important clue, but we need more. Young Wohua also has connections in the police force." He opened the safe and took out a document. "This is the information I've collected over the years. Young Wohua not only embezzled public funds but is also suspected of money laundering and corporate espionage. But to deliver a fatal blow, we need him to confess to the murder personally. How is this possible?" "There's one person who can help us," Qin Mo said meaningfully. "Lin Ziyuan." I widened my eyes. "Him?" "Lin Ziyuan is now at the end of his rope. Jiangting has abandoned him, and young Wohua also sees him as a disposable pawn." Qin Mo analyzed. "If we give him a chance to make him an undercover agent." I shook my head. "It's too dangerous, and he hates me to the core." Qin Mo chuckled lightly. "Precisely because he hates you, young Wohua will trust him." The night grew late, and Qin Mo arranged for me to rest in the guest room. Lying in an unfamiliar bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. At 3 in the morning, I tiptoed to the study, wanting to take another look at my father's notes. The study light was still on. Qin Mo had fallen asleep at the desk. With the castle restoration blueprint spread out in front of him, I quietly approached and discovered he had drawn many small portraits on the edges of the blueprint. All of them were me. There was me speaking in the conference room, frowning while reviewing documents, and even a version of me from university days, smiling in graduation robes. "That was based on your father's photos." Qin Mo suddenly spoke, startling me. He looked up, not a trace of sleepiness in his eyes. "I've seen all your parents' photo albums. How long have you been watching me?" My voice trembled. "Ever since your grandfather found you." He stood up and walked towards me. "It's been longer than you can imagine." Moonlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting dappled shadows across his sharply defined features. Suddenly I realized, this seemingly aloof man had been silently watching over me all along. "Why?" I asked softly. "Just because of grandfather's request." Qin Mo raised his hand, gently brushing away the tears that had unknowingly fallen down my cheek again. "At first, yes, but later." His thumb paused at the corner of my lips, his breathing growing heavier. The distance between us was so close that we could count each other's eyelashes. Just as I thought he was about to kiss me, his phone suddenly rang. Chin Mo took a step back and answered the phone. A few seconds later, his expression changed abruptly. When did it happen? I'll be right there. What's wrong? I asked nervously. Lin Ziyuan was beaten up and is now in the hospital, he said while quickly gathering his documents. Yang Guohua sent people to warn him to stay away from Jiangting. My heart tightened. Is it serious? Not life-threatening. But this is an opportunity. Chin Mo handed me my coat. Let's go see him, now. In the emergency room of the city hospital, Lin Ziyuan lay on the bed with a bruised and swollen face, his right arm in a cast. When he saw Chin Mo and me, he froze for a moment before flashing a mocking smile. Here to laugh at me? Let's make a deal. I got straight to the point. Help me get evidence that Yang Guohua admitted to murdering my parents, and I'll give you 5 million and a new identity abroad. Lin Ziyuan's pupils contracted slightly. Are you insane? Yang Guohua will kill me. He's already coming after you, Chin Mo pointed out calmly. Jiangting used you and then discarded you. Yang Guohua sees you as a threat. You only have 2 options now. Help us, or wait to die. Lin Ziyuan remained silent for a long time before finally asking hoarsely, how can you guarantee my safety? I'll arrange for someone to protect you 24/7, Chin Mo said. As soon as you get the recording, we'll send you abroad immediately. The recording? Lin Ziyuan gave a bitter smile. You really think highly of me? I leaned closer to him. Lin Ziyuan, do you know how my parents died? Yang Guohua and Jiangting's mother orchestrated that car accident to cover up their embezzlement. Now they're coming after me too. Lin Ziyuan stared at me in shock. You're serious? My father's notes are right here. I took out the copies. Yang Guohua must pay, and you are the only one who can get close to them. Lin Ziyuan looked down at his arm in a cast, his expression complicated. That bitch Jiangting, she's been using me all along. Yang Guohua is having a private gathering at the Imperial Hotel tomorrow. Chin Mo handed over a specially modified phone. Jiangting will be there too. This phone can record remotely. You just need to find an opportunity to bring up the car accident involving Jiannen's parents. Lin Ziyuan hesitated for a long time before finally taking the phone. 5 million, in cash. Deal. I turned to leave, then looked back at the door. By the way, if you dare to play any tricks, I know. Lin Ziyuan forced a smile uglier than crying. Chin Mo would make me wish I were dead. By the time I left the hospital, the sky was beginning to lighten. Chin Mo took me back to the Jian Corporation building to change clothes, and I was so exhausted that I fell asleep leaning on his shoulder during the ride. Half asleep, I felt him gently adjust my head, his touch so tender it was almost unbelievable. At 10 in the morning, I mustered my energy to chair the board meeting. Yang Guohua was absent, sending someone to deliver his resignation letter. I knew this was the calm before the storm. He must be plotting something. Sure enough, in the afternoon, Zhou Lin rushed in. Madam, we've just received word that Yang Guohua is secretly buying up scattered shares of Jian Group and has contacted several major shareholders. He wants to control the Jian family through shares. I sneered. Not so easy. Assistant Zhou, contact Star Group. I want to meet Chin Mo. Chin Mo arrived with a team of lawyers and accountants. We schemed in the conference room until late at night, devising a bold plan. Yang Guohua wants the Jian family, then we'll give him a Jian family, Chin Mo said, pointing at the financial statements. Package the non-performing assets and debts into a shell company to lure him into acquiring it. Would he really fall for it so easily? I wondered doubtfully. Chin Mo said confidently. As long as Lin Ziyuan tells him that you've had a mental breakdown over your parents' affairs and have no heart for business. 3 days later, the plan was set in motion. I deliberately skipped an important meeting, letting Zhou Lin spread the word that I was emotionally unstable. Meanwhile, Lin Ziyuan successfully infiltrated Yang Guohua's private gathering and recorded a crucial conversation. We've got the recording. Late at night, Chin Mo came to the Jian Corporation building to see me and played the audio sent by Lin Ziyuan. Yang Guohua's voice was clearly audible. That Jian couple didn't know what was good for them, insisting on checking the accounts. The car accident was handled cleanly. Who would have thought that girl would dig it up 20 years later? I trembled all over, both from anger and from finally having concrete evidence. Lin Ziyuan did a good job. Chin Mo put away the recording. Tomorrow, Yang Guohua will sign the agreement to acquire Jian's. We'll expose him on the spot. What about Jiangting? She'll be there. Chin Mo sneered. Lin Ziyuan told her she'd receive a huge sum after the agreement is signed. I took a deep breath. It's time to end all this. Chin Mo suddenly grasped my hand. What are you planning to do after tomorrow? I didn't expect him to ask this. I haven't thought about it yet. Have you considered going to France? He asked softly. That ancient castle needs an owner who understands design. My heart skipped a beat. Was he inviting me? Chin Mo. I looked straight into his eyes. You're good to me. Is it because of grandfather's request? Or, at first, it was duty, he admitted frankly, but when you tore up the divorce papers and said you'd make Lin Ziyuan leave with nothing, I realized old Jian's granddaughter doesn't need anyone's protection. His thumb gently brushed the back of my hand. But I still want to stand by your side, not as a protector, but as a partner, if you'll have me. Outside the window, the first rays of morning light pierced through the clouds. I smiled and shook his hand in return. After tomorrow, we'll have a good talk about this issue. Tomorrow will mark the end for Yang Guohua and Jiang Ting, and the beginning of my new life. In the top-floor conference room of the Imperial Hotel, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the entire city. The sunlight today was exceptionally harsh, making the glass curtain walls glisten like countless unsheathed swords. Is everything arranged? I asked softly. Chin Mo nodded behind me. The police are already on standby downstairs. Lin Ziyuan will bring Yang Guohua and Jiang Ting up. Zhou Lin has the projection equipment ready. I turned to face him, suddenly feeling nervous. How do I look? Chin Mo reached out and gently brushed off non-existent dust from my shoulder. Perfect. He wore a dark blue suit today, which made his figure appear even more tall and straight. A silver tie pin adorned his tie, a keepsake from my grandfather. The old man had mentioned in his letter that it was meant for his future grandson-in-law. The conference room door swung open as Zhou Lin hurried in. Madam, they've arrived. I took a deep breath and seated myself at the head of the table. Chin Mo stood behind me. Like a silent pillar of support, Yang Guohua was the first to walk in. Followed by Jiang Ting and Lin Ziyuan, Yang Guohua had a radiant face, looking as if victory was already in his grasp. Jiang Ting wore a tight-fitting red dress, her crimson lips curling into a smug smile. Only Lin Ziyuan looked pale, his right arm still in a cast, his eyes flickering uncertainly. And then, I heard you finally come around. Yang Guohua sat down across from me with a beaming smile. Young people should know which way the wind blows. That's what makes them outstanding. I expressionlessly pushed a document forward. This is the share transfer agreement for 51% of Jian Group's equity, calculated at 30% below market price. Yang Guohua eagerly flipped through the document, his eyes greedily scanning the terms. Jiang Ting leaned in to look, her bright red nails leaving faint marks on the paper. Ziyuan said you'd cooperate, but I didn't believe it. Jiang Ting gave me a disdainful glance. Seems you're not as tough as I imagined. I looked at her coldly. Jiang Ting, you know what? I just saw the staff group photo from the year your mother embezzled public funds yesterday. Jiang Ting's face paled slightly. You, what do you mean? In that photo, she was standing right behind my father. I slowly stood up, and 20 years later, you're standing behind my husband. You and your mother really are cut from the same cloth. Yang Guohua suddenly closed the file. Jianan, enough talk, just sign it, and we'll all save time. Fine. I picked up the pen but suddenly turned to Lin Ziyuan. By the way, Lin Ziyuan, have you told them? Lin Ziyuan shuddered. What? Told them that you're actually one of us, I said with a smile. The meeting room fell silent in an instant. Yang Guohua and Jiang Ting turned their heads in unison to stare at Lin Ziyuan, whose forehead was beaded with sweat. Are you playing me? Yang Guohua suddenly stood up, his face livid. At that moment, Chin Mo pressed the remote control, and the large screen in the meeting room lit up, playing Yang Guohua's clear voice. The Jian couple wouldn't back down and insisted on checking the accounts. The car accident was handled very cleanly. Jiang Ting's scream echoed simultaneously. Lin Ziyuan, you recorded us. Yang Guohua's face instantly turned deathly pale as he reached out to snatch the documents. I was prepared and swiftly pulled the documents back. Don't rush, Uncle Yang. This agreement is actually a transfer deed for a shell company bundling all of Jian Corporation's toxic assets. Signing it won't give you Jian Corporation. Instead, you'll be saddled with 2 billion in debt. You bitch. Jiang Ting suddenly pulled a fruit knife from her bag and lunged at me. I'll kill you. I didn't dodge. Just as she was about to touch me, I sidestepped, grabbed her wrist, and twisted it hard. A self-defense move Chin Mo had taught me just last week. Jiang Ting cried out in pain, the knife clattering to the ground, and I pinned her down on the conference table. This move, I whispered in her ear, is payback from my mom to you. The conference room door was burst open as several police officers rushed in. Freeze, Yang Guohua. You're under arrest for murder and commercial crimes. Here's the warrant. Yang Guohua collapsed into his chair like a deflated balloon. Jiang Ting, restrained by officers, continued screaming hysterically. Yang Guohua orchestrated everything. My mother just did his bookkeeping. He arranged the car accident. Lin Ziyuan was placed under police protection as a tainted witness. Before leaving, He gave me a complicated look. Jianan, I'm sorry, I didn't respond. Some wounds can't be healed with just an apology. When the meeting room fell silent again, leaving only Chin Mo and me, my legs suddenly gave way. Chin Mo caught me in time and helped me sit on the sofa. It's over, he said softly. I shook my head. Not yet. Taking out a genuine document from my briefcase. This is the collaboration proposal between Jane Group and Stellar Group. I want to transform Jane Group into an international design conglomerate, establishing a foundation in my father's name to support young designers. Chin Mo flipped through the document, his brow gradually relaxing. This is an excellent plan. Your father would be proud of you. Us, I corrected him. You'll complete this plan with me, won't you? Chin Mo didn't answer immediately. He knelt on one knee and took out a velvet box from his pocket. Jianan, this ring was passed down from my grandmother. I originally wanted to formally propose to you after everything was over. My heart pounded like thunder as I watched the sapphire ring in the box shimmer brilliantly in the sunlight. But now I want to ask. Chin Mo's deep eyes gazed directly at me. Would you be willing to establish that foundation with me, restore that ancient castle in France together, and spend the rest of our lives together? I didn't speak but instead leaned down and kissed him directly. His lips were warm and soft, carrying a faint hint of mint. When I pulled away, his eyes sparkled with surprise. Is this the meaning of yes? He asked hoarsely. It means I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, I said with a smile, letting him slip the ring onto my finger. Epilogue, a new beginning. 3 months later, Provence, France. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass of the ancient castle, casting colorful patterns on the weathered stone walls. I stood in the partially restored rose garden, watching workers rebuild the fountain according to my father's original blueprints. Madam. Zhou Lin approached. News about Lin Ziyuan. As a tainted witness, he received a lighter sentence and went to South Africa after his release. This postcard is for you. I took the postcard, on which was written just one simple line. Thank you for the 5 million. I've started anew. What about Yang Guohua and Jiang Ting? Yang Guohua was sentenced to life imprisonment, Jiang Ting to 15 years. Her mother was also additionally charged as an accomplice. Zhou Lin paused. By the way, Mr. Chin asked where you'd like to have dinner. He's cooking personally. I couldn't help but smile. Tell him the garden is fine. After Zhou Lin left, I walked to the unfinished fountain and tossed a coin into the water. It was a wishing method I learned from my mother as a child. What did you wish for? Chin Mo's voice came from behind me. He was dressed in a simple white shirt and casual pants, holding 2 glasses of red wine in his hands. I hope Dad's design can be perfectly presented. I took the glass, and I hope we'll always remember how things look today. Chin Mo glanced around, a dilapidated old castle, covered in dust and construction materials. No, I leaned against his shoulder. It's full of hope. The setting sun stretched our shadows very, very long. In the distance, the workers began packing up their tools, ready to end the day's work. But our story is just beginning.